Hey guys, Toast here, and today I'm going to be bringing you episode 2 of my journey to 2200 on Resto Shaman, and this time I'm going to be bringing some commentary of the games on what I'm doing, what I should be doing, mistakes I know I'm making and things I'm trying to work on. So this first game is going to be RPS against Holy Paladin, Death Knight, Warlock. Now our opening target is going to be the Paladin, just because he's really good for us to kill. Now I put a Hex onto the Death Knight while the Warlock was sapped, which gets his Desecrated Ground, then we put him into a Fear when he's out of that, which gets his Lichborn and his AMS. We don't really force too much from the Paladin, we've got a lot of the Death Knight cooldowns. Now, this team spreads a lot of pressure, so I'm going to be trying to get Riptides out on everyone, and just keeping my team topped, putting out healing surges just to get them picked up. Even though I could probably have got away with a couple of healing waves, I just want to be safe. I then use my Spirit Walker's Grace. As we swap back to the Paladin, we get his Trinket, and I Tremor of Fear. I then get put into an Asphyxiate stun, and we actually force the Paladin's bubble here, my priest dropping a huge amount. I put an Earth Shield on him, and I go for a cast when I really should have fake casted, and I get full spell lock, and I actually force my priest to disperse it. Now, the Paladin's still quite low, but I have to Trinket a half Fear just to get an NS off to make sure he's going to be alright. My priest lands a double Fear on the DPS. Paladin's still really low, so he is going to be the target we're looking to go for. I put a Hex onto the Death Knight, and Paladin actually Aura Masteries and uses Guardian, so he's going to be just fine here. Now, we've got a lot of pressure right now, and we're pretty much all topped. I'm going to try and keep Riptide hot on everyone on the team, just so that's always healing a little bit through the dots. And it also means if I use Ascendance for that, I'll have that healing everyone. I keep Earth Shield on the Priest, but I get put into a Fear, so I'm going to Tremor that, and my Priest fears the Death Knight. I then try to ground the Warlock's cast, and I'm just going to pick my Priest up here, and I shear the Warlock. Now, he didn't actually get the Fear because instead grounding down, so that's fine. And we're still looking to actually kill the Paladin. At the moment we're just waiting for our cooldowns to come back up to actually land the kill on him. Now they are starting to get a lot of pressure, and they accidentally overlap Asphyxiate and Spelllock, so that's actually really good for me. And I'm just going to use Healing Stream out of this, because that's going to do a huge amount of spread healing for my team. We are trying to connect onto the Paladin again, but the Death Knight is keeping my Shadow Priest away, which also means that I need to keep in line with my Shadow Priest, so I'm not on the Paladin either. My priest puts a Fear onto the Warlock, and I Hex the Death Knight, who uses Desecrated Ground to get out of it, but we connect on the Paladin again, we land a Kidney Shot on him, and he's going to go down. Now there, I kind of made the mistake, I didn't fake a couple of CS's where, I really should have, but at the end I just used my Link just to be safe. I'd, rather just Link and everyone's a little bit low than we just lose because I didn't Link. But overall there, it's kind of really good for us to just go on that Paladin. Paladins are great targets for this comp, and it definitely means we shut down a lot of their pressure, because we force their team to play defensive, which means I can keep on top of the healing for our team. I mean, they never even forced Life Swap or a Spirit Link while all three of them were up. Now this next game is going to be against Shadow Priest, Death Knight, Holy Paladin. So it's kind of similar to the last one, but the Priest provides a lot more defensive to the Paladin. But we're going to run the same strategy. We're going to open on the Paladin, my Rogue's going to sap whoever he can, so he lands on the Death Knight and I Hex the Priest. I then start purging the Paladin, and move him with a Garrote into a Kidney. Now this is a really strong opener from us, just because we force a lot of their cooldowns. We actually get the Paladin's Shield Wall, and we get Life Grip from the Priest. Now I'm kind of stood in the middle of nowhere right now, but I don't really want to be anywhere near that Death Knight or that Priest to give them free swaps. So it's kind of okay where I am, it could be a little bit better, but not really too big of an issue. They're going to be targeting our Rogue a lot. I get put into a Silence just as I land a heal on him. He has Earth Shield, so I'm fairly sure he's going to be okay. Now I'm just keeping away from that Priest, so I move to the Pillar. And I actually use Healing Tide here, even though I probably used that a bit earlier, I probably didn't need to use it there. But I just wanted to make sure I picked him up, but I could definitely have saved it. Now they put me into a half Strangulate as we swap back to the Paladin, and we get his bubble. My priest puts him into a Horror, but it's not just enough to finish him off, because my Rogue got gripped away and couldn't connect to him again. Now they're putting a lot of damage into our Rogue, and we're turning around and putting some pressure out onto the Death Knight while the Paladin picks himself up. Now all we need is maybe one more good swap to the Paladin, and we're actually going to look to set it up here. I have a Hex, so I'm going to go for a Hex on the Priest, just because we're going to swap now. We put a Blind on the Paladin, and the Priest trinkets. Now, we then decide to just swap to the Paladin, even though he was blinded, and I actually get MD'd out of a Fear, which is great by my Priest. Now, this is where we're going to target the Paladin. I don't have the Hex for the Priest now, but I do root him away from the Paladin, and he can't actually get to him to help pick him up, or Life Swap. So we put a Kidney Shot onto him, and we use a Smoke Bomb, so there's no Life Swap coming in, and we're going to drop the Paladin. Now this next game is going to be against a bit of an unusual comp, and because of that we didn't really know how to deal with it. It's going to be Hunter, Disc Priest, Destro Warlock. Now we decided that the Hunter would probably be the best target for us, but he starts in camo, and the Warlock's Rain of Firing with a flare down as well, so we're just looking to get the opener. So we get the sap on the Priest, and then we open on the Hunter with a cheap shot. Now, I'm just trying to play far away, but the Warlock does fear off my Fear Ward. My Priest then gets a fear on their Priest, and we've got quite a lot of pressure on this Hunter in the opener. And I do get scatter trapped, but I grounded the trap before I got scattered, so I'm able to dodge that. I then get put into a pet stun, and the Priest's quite close to me for a fear, but he doesn't go for it. And I go for a Hex, but the Warlock fears me. Now, I'm just looking to get some distance again. They're doing a huge amount of damage to my Priest. I get put into a 1 second Shadow Fury, into a half fear, and they actually got my Priest dispersed here. But we've blinded the Warlock just so I can pick my team up, and it's going to be alright. Now, we don't really have that much pressure out at the moment. We're looking to maybe swap to the Priest because we think he might be a good target. And, you know, we're not actually able to connect to that, so my Priest just fears him. We're going to go on to this Hunter again. My Rogue opens with a cheap shot. We get a lot of damage out into him in this fear. We actually force his trinket, and my Rogue cheap shots him on it in this smoke bomb. Now, he comes out at 5% and actually gets a deterrence before we can actually do anything to the Priest, so my Rogue runs and gouges the Priest just to interrupt his cast a little bit more. But the Hunter's going to get picked up here. We couldn't quite finish the kill. Now, because we know this is happening, my Priest decides to line for a bit and then gets a full fear on the Priest. I get put into a scatter trap, but he gets a great master spell on me, so I'm going to be able to keep him up, no problem. The Priest will have forsaken that, and we do hit him a little bit. We put him into a kidney shot and just do some damage to him. But the Hunter power shots and knocks my Priest away, doing quite a bit of damage to him, but we follow up with a silence on the Priest and just continue to hit him. I get my Rogue out of a fear, but we can see this kill on the Priest isn't really going anywhere just yet. I get put into a silence shot, into a fear, which I'm forced to tremor. Now, we put a dismantle onto the Hunter, and my Priest gets a great fear on the Warlock and the Priest, and I'm looking to go and get a Hex off that fear, which I do land, and he's forced to trinket. Now, the Hunter's still in a little bit of trouble. He's down to 40%, but the Priest got some heals coming in and some big shields, so he's going to be fine for now. Now, we're really struggling to get a kill on this comp just because we didn't really know how to deal with it, just because the Warlock peels as well as the Hunter's okay survivability and the Priest's extra fear just really hurt us a little bit in trying to get those kills. Now I get put into a full fear with no tremor available, but my Rogue gouges the Hunter to prevent their pressure. Now the Priest looks like he's coming to follow up with a fear, but I do get put into a scatter and a trap, but I trinketed the scatter even though my Rogue ate the trap. So that was a miscommunication by us and definitely a mistake on my part. I should have saved my trinket there and we'd have been fine. Now, the Priest got Fear Ward up again, so I know that my Priest can't fear just yet, but we're not really looking to do too much at the moment. I get put into a web stun, there's no trap to follow it up. I have a tremor for this fear the Priest puts on me, so it's going to be fine. We put a blind onto the Priest, which we're potentially looking to sap out of, but when my Rogue calls he can't get it, I'm just going to Hex the Priest instead, who has no trinket, and the Hunter's extremely low, but he's just managing to kite our team and just get away until his deterrence comes back up. So my Rogue puts the Priest into a cheap shot to stop him healing, and my Priest puts him into a half fear. There's a pain suppression on the Hunter, and he still hasn't gone down just yet because he's doing a great job of kiting and the Warlock's doing a good job of peeling our team, and the Priest's able to get a couple of heals out with Aura Mastery. I do land a wind shear on his penance though, and we're still looking to try and just kill this Hunter who's almost down, but that's starting to turn the pressure around on our Rogue, and I actually used my Spirit Walker's Grace and Aura Mastery the Warlock counter spell there. I Tremor a Fear, and we put a Dismantle onto the Hunter just so that I can make sure everyone's picked up and it's all fine, because the Priest did use Shadow Fiend there. We put a Silence onto the Priest, and we're still looking to try and get this kill here. We've got a lot of pressure rolling right now, and I'm going for a Hex on the Priest, but he does get the line of sight on it. Now I land the Hex on the cast of his heal, interrupting that, and I get put into a Scatter. My Rogue cheap shots the Hunter, and this is where he's finally going to go down, even though he Bestial Wrathed out of the stun, but it came up a little bit too late, and so we do get the kill here. Now, there it's kind of good to know where we miscommunicated and that I could have saved my trinket, because although we do win this game, if we hadn't, because I'd been in CC, I would have known that I'd wasted my trinket, and could maybe have used that to save my team. It's also nice to know that and be communicated so that you can call to your teammates when you want to Spirit Link and things like that, and if we're not doing that properly, we could quite easily have lost this game just because the amount of CC this team has, as well as all the offensive pressure they have with the Hunter and Destro Warlock burst. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.